Naruto was 1000% a prodigy. And if you disagree, it's because you're a dumb guy. It's because you're a dumb, stupid guy and you're dumb.
Well, call me Naruto Uzumaki, because I'm a freaking dumbass. A while ago, and I do mean a while ago at this point, I was served a video by one of my favorite creators on the platform, Tony Stadavici, claiming that Naruto Uzumaki, the Knucklehead Ninja, was a prodigy. Needless to say, I was shocked, awed, appalled even. The whole concept of the show is that hard work beats raw talent. Naruto was a scrappy underdog that got by with cunning, underhanded tricks that shattered expectations, and only uses hidden gifts when absolutely necessary. Calling Naruto a prodigy is the antithesis of everything he believed in, but then he started making some good points. Naruto did throw hands with some of the strongest fighters in the verse. He's mastered some of the strongest jutsus ever created, and he's even become one of the most powerful Hokage in history. From an outside perspective, he is a prodigy, but from an audience perspective, with an omniscient understanding of all the powers at play, Naruto is not a prodigy. In fact, he's nowhere close. Actually, it wouldn't be a stretch to call him an idiot, but that's something we already knew. So let's strap in, because I'm about to tell you why Naruto Uzumaki is 100% not a prodigy. So, first off, starting off with Naruto's abilities. In the beginning of the show, we are shown that among the other ninja trainees, Naruto is by far the weakest. He has no control of his chakra, and he sucks at physical combat. His only saving grace is that when he was born, his body was used to seal away the nine-tailed fox, which inadvertently gave him extremely deep reserves of chakra. Also, his mother was an Uzumaki, which, as we now know, were also known for their deep reserves of chakra. So, think of it like this. If Sakura was born with 50 chakra, and Sasuke was born with 75 chakra, Naruto was born with 10,000, which in and of itself was a detriment to him growing up. The more chakra someone has, the harder it is to control. When practicing jutsus, everyone else is trying to fill the glass while he's trying not to shatter it. He is literally suffering from success with this massive chakra. Which brings us to the first point of contention, the multi-shadow clone jutsu. People would have you believe that since Naruto mastered a forbidden jutsu on his first try, that gives him the right to be called a prodigy. Now, jutsus don't exist in the real world, so we have no idea how difficult it is to actually learn one of these, especially after only reading it once. But I'm gonna do something unthinkable here. Instead of scaling Naruto up, I'm gonna scale the whole world down. If a 12-year-old child can do it on the first try, it must not be that hard. Let me remind you guys that nowhere does anyone say that the jutsu is difficult, only that it is dangerous. Splitting your chakra like that apparently kills you if you do it wrong, so the fact that it is not difficult makes it more dangerous. Anyone can do it, but only Naruto can make so many of himself without killing himself because of its insane chakra. According to Kakashi and Shippuden, every shadow clone Naruto makes has his own set of memories that comes back to Naruto every time they die. You would think you would notice that over years of using it, but we all know Naruto is not a smart man. This single-handedly makes this the greatest jutsu of all time. Imagine just having one extra version of yourself to study, I don't know, quantum physics. He reads the whole book and poof, suddenly you're an expert. And Naruto can quite literally make hundreds a day. Seems like a little bit of a missed opportunity. But he does use shadow clones to their fullest when learning other jutsu, when learning the Rasengan, when mastering the Rasen Shuriken, and when achieving Sage Mode. He uses shadow clones to supplement his shortcomings, mastering control of chakra for the Rasengan, inputting nature energy for the Rasen Shuriken, and going into Sage Mode were all impossible for him until he used shadow clones to work around all the difficult parts. Originally, this showed us that Naruto was crafty, that he was willing to learn anything as long as it was on his terms. It proved he was unique. But after learning what the shadow clone jutsu is actually capable of, it just makes him seem like more of an idiot than he actually was. You mean you really didn't notice all those spare memories from the hundreds of shadow clones you've made? Come on, man. Which brings us to the second point of contention, the Rasengan. The Rasengan was the 4th Hokage's signature move, and an extremely powerful jutsu. Mastering this, and even perfecting it, must mean he's at least as smart as Minato, right? Well, not quite. For one, it took him a month and a half to even grasp the concept of how he's supposed to form his chakra. For two, he had to use shadow clones well after learning the technique because he couldn't figure out how to do it one-handed. For three, he had a seasoned teacher and prepared exercises. He did not come up with this move on his own, he followed an extremely detailed blueprint. And for four, it's the only jutsu he knows, he better be good with it. And while we're on the topic, he did not teach Konohamaru how to use it. Konohamaru did learn it from watching him, but let's see what Naruto actually told him.
This nigga's the worst, bro. This is why you want to be in here when you record this shit, bro.
If anything, Konohamaru is a prodigy. He's keeping up with a literal demon. Moving on, the last thing I want to focus on is Sage Mode. Another argument was the fact that Naruto could complete Sage Mode while Jiraiya couldn't. I will admit, it has been a while since I've seen the show, so I googled what the actual requirements for achieving Sage Mode were, and these were the only two that came up. If I'm missing something, feel free to comment that I'm wrong, but just know that it's your people who gave me the wrong information, Naruto fans. Get it together. So, the two requirements of completing Sage Mode were balancing out natural energy with one's own physical and spiritual energies, and possessing immense chakra. The first one is actually difficult, but not impossible to circumvent. We saw that he used shadow clones to learn the process 4 times faster than normal, something we know Jiraiya didn't do. According to this Reddit post I found when I googled it, the general consensus is that it took Naruto at least a week to complete Sage Mode. Adding a shadow clone to the equation, that means that the total time Naruto spent learning Sage Mode is at least a month, which is not bad for a life-changing power-up. However, I will be a little bit pedantic because this is my video, and I can do what I want. There is one thing I want you guys to remember. It technically took Naruto 2 years after the event of the Ninja War to fully perfect Sage Mode. Before that, he was using shadow clones to, once again, sidestep the traditional way of learning the technique, which I might remind you is something that he can only do because he is lucky enough to be born with enough chakra. The second requirement is literally impossible to overcome. You need to be born with enough chakra to complete the transformation. It's not that Jiraiya didn't master Sage Mode. If he didn't master the technique, he wouldn't be able to do it at all. Jiraiya was physically incapable of finishing his training through a biological barrier he cannot compete with. Sorry, Jiraiya. If you were born better, you wouldn't have had to die. This is part of the reason that I can't call him a prodigy, because with the tools he was given, he could have been so much stronger so much earlier on. We already know that his chakra levels allows his shadow clones to use multiple jutsus before they pop. Even if he couldn't physically train his original body, he could learn multiple jutsus a day and practice using his other shadow clones. Imagine if when Shippuden started, he was throwing out jutsu left and right. That would have been crazy. But he just had the Rasengan and a little bit more control over the Nine-Tailed Fox. It's really underwhelming when you think about it. Calling him a prodigy because he ended up beating some strong people at 16 is results-oriented thinking that basically ignores the entire plot of the show, especially considering that almost all of his power-ups were only accessible to him because of things outside of his control. Like, you wouldn't say that an 8-foot-tall 9th grader is a prodigy just because he's dunking on other 15-year-olds. You would call as many fouls as you can to get that ninja out of there. It's the same thing with Naruto. He spent 2 years perfecting the Rasengan. All he did was make it bigger. Actually, if you compare the sizes between the air quotes big Rasengan that he made with the Shadow Clone and the Nine-Tailed Fox with the one his father made with one hand and a dream, they're the same size. He did not improve on it, he is finally doing it right. What about that screams prodigy to you? Naruto had a horrendous list of jutsu he can actually use because he didn't have a natural understanding of how jutsu worked in the first place. Fear not the man who knows 1,000 jutsu. Fear the man who uses one jutsu 1,000 times, because he doesn't know any other ones.
Wait, Rasengans don't work on him. What? Come again?
If you want to talk about prodigies, Sasuke actually was one. The only natural boost he had the entire show was his Sharingan. Everything else was pure talent. He was top of his class in the Ninja Academy. He mastered multiple fire-style jutsu when he was still a genin, and he was so talented that Orochimaru wanted to steal his body. Sasuke was leagues ahead of Naruto at any given point in the story before Sage Mode, and the only reason why it was ever even close was because of the Nine-Tailed Fox. Naruto's existence proves that luck and connections will always beat hard work and talent, and that's a message I can get behind. But the biggest reason I can't call him a prodigy is because he is something else that we've already touched on earlier, something that overpowers everything we have already said. Naruto is not a prodigy because he is a Nepo baby! Almost everything he has was given to him because his parents were world-class ninjas. The Nine-Tailed Fox, his dad sealed it in him. His massive chakra reserves, his mom's genetics are insane. His most iconic jutsu he can only use because he's genetically capable of doing so. Even his teachers all had connections to his father. Kakashi was a student, Jiraiya trained him. Jiraiya literally gave Naruto his name. The Toad Sage, one of the strongest ninjas of the last generation, is his godfather. The second his father instilled the Nine-Tails in him, the second he learned the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and the second he met Jiraiya, he was destined to succeed. It's not a surprise that he was able to become the strongest ninja in history. It was inevitable. But it wasn't always like that. Yes, Naruto was born with amazing gifts that put him far above his peers, but you know what else he was? Alone. For his whole childhood, he was surrounded by a village that despised him for something out of his control. His parents were dead, and the only thing he had to remember them by was a monster in his stomach. He didn't want to become strong because he knew he could. He wanted to be acknowledged, respected, loved. And the only way he thought he could do that is by becoming the best. What does this have to do with anything? It shows that even if he didn't know that he would be rewarded, he would have worked hard anyway. He uses clever strategies to work around his weaknesses because he knows that if he just did it the same way everyone else did, he would fall behind. He didn't know that the Shadow Clone Jutsu was the most important jutsu he would ever learn. He just needed it to pass his class. He didn't know that the Rasengan would be his most powerful technique. He just didn't want to lose to Sasuke. Every move he learned to keep up with everyone else. It's important to remember that because ultimately what he wanted wasn't strength, but connection, which is the fun part about Naruto's character. What makes him so endearing is that he wasn't born talented. He was weaker than everyone else and became strong through his own unique background. And he wouldn't have known how strong he would become if he had given up. Almost every shonen character, especially main characters in long-running series, have some special power-up that invalidates their story arc if you choose to look at it like that. Goku literally trained his entire life and still couldn't beat Frieza until he went Super Saiyan. Ichigo was born half human, half hollow, half Quincy, and still became a Soul Reaper. Luffy ate the reincarnation of a god fruit that makes him invincible. These characters are fun to watch not because we know that they are destined to succeed, but because we want to see them struggle, to get knocked down and get back up again. Because that's what makes shonen interesting. Are all the power boosts fun and interesting? No. Are they all plot devices that devalue the world and characters by providing them a get-out-of-jail-free card so the writer can keep going? That's up to you. Personally, most of the time I like to think of it as cosmic karma, rewarding the main character for doing the right thing, but I know people are going to disagree with that. But I will say that the point of shonen anime was never to say that your dreams will always come true if you just work hard. It was always that you don't know until you try. Like us, Naruto didn't know that his father was the 4th Hokage, or that his mother was part of some elite clandestine Ultimate Ninja family. But that didn't matter to him because he was going to work hard regardless of the circumstances. There are two ways to look at Naruto's growth throughout the series. Either he's a lovable numbskull who got lucky at every turn, or he is a scrappy underdog who cleverly used whatever he could to get ahead. But one thing he isn't is a prodigy, because for most of his life, he lacked the fundamental understanding of how blessed he actually was, and could not use all of those gifts to their fullest potential. Getting his shit together in the 3rd act by getting high with some frogs and finally squashing his beef with his imaginary friend does not suddenly make him a genius. It does, however, make him a much more endearing character when you realize that his initial goal is the entire reason why he was able to get so strong in the first place. He was acknowledged by the Toad, so they taught him Senjutsu. He was respected by the Nine-Tailed Fox, so he gained his power. And he was loved by his village, so they made him Hokage. All those things he accomplished on his own, not because of what he is, but who he is. A goofball who wanted nothing more than to have friends. Ultimately, I think if you're using the word prodigy as a placeholder for gifted or blessed, then that is correct. I don't think anyone can argue that Naruto wasn't built different. But if you're trying to argue that that means he is talented or a genius, then that is factually wrong. All the power Naruto has was given to him because he was loved. The Nine-Tailed Fox, the Rasengan, Sage Mode, even the 6 paths were born from the bonds he created over his lifetime. His connections are his strengths, literally and figuratively. Sasuke, Obito, Madara, all these other prodigies isolated themselves. In search of more power and control, they abandoned their friends, people they deemed inferior, not knowing that that is the sole reason that Naruto was able to surpass them. Because without them, he is nothing. And he knows that. All those smaller powers come together to form a whirlpool, and all Naruto is doing is try to live up to those expectations. You're right, he did master some of the strongest jutsu in history at a young age. He did beat some of the strongest people on the planet, and he did become the strongest Hokage in history. He may be the greatest air-quote prodigy of his generation, but calling him that ignores all the help he had along the way and dismisses the only reason why he got strong in the first place. It ignores the pain of being born worthless and alone, the struggle of not being able to save a friend, the dedication to spend years training to get strong, the pride of being able to stand on your own 2 feet, and the relief of realizing that you don't have to. The joy of reconciling with that friend, and the pure elation of realizing your dream. None of these moments would be half as memorable if we were assured from the beginning that Naruto would succeed. I think it's easy to look back at the end of a long journey and say, of course you made it because you had X, Y, and Z. But at the beginning, nobody knows anything for sure. Maybe you're destined to succeed, or maybe you're doomed to fail. But one thing is certain. You will never get anywhere if you don't
believe it. Then believe it. Believe it. Believe it. Believe it. Believe it. Believe it. Believe it.
believe it. So what I'm getting at is, I disagree with their whole premise on a completely subjective level, and I don't believe that Naruto is a prodigy at all.
It's because you're a dumb guy. It's because you're a dumb, stupid guy and you're dumb.
God damn it. Hey guys, I'm sure some of you have noticed, but these videos take a while to make. For a lot of reasons, not the least of which being that I am doing this by myself and I am not a professional editor. But I do have some fun things planned, like a My Hero Academia video all about Deku, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, check out my other channel, Swearjar Jr., where I'll be putting clips from my stream, which you can also find at twitch.tv/swearjar. Come hang out if you want to talk about anime, games, TV, VTubers, or see stuff like this.
I'm not sure if you saw the wolf lady earlier, but man, the way she probably blows got me bricked up.
What?
I'm calling Ma.
Yeah,
Three little pigs.
Ma.
The 3 little pigs.
I'm telling you
No,
what
I
I'm
got
telling
it.
what she said.
I got it, but I don't think you got what you just said. What's it gonna be?
But you, of course, cannot fool me thrice.
But I actually can. Because I got you. I got your ass.
We got your ass.
Oh yeah, look at.
I got your ass.
How are you doing that shit?
I'm psychic, man. I'm saying
Hey, watch this.
that's
Like-
crazy. That's crazy. Nobody wants to believe me until it's too late. Until it's too late. Because if they try to guess when I'm wrong or right, it shakes their worldview. Now, put that bullet in your brain. Put that bullet in your brain right now. First bullet, first bullet. Let's fucking go!
Yo, what the fuck?
Pause. Run that shit back.
Dude, they fucking rigged it against me. Holy shit.
Put that bullet in your brain. So again, come hang out at twitch.tv/swearjar if you want to see what I'm up to. You won't know balls.